Chosen one, I need to tell you something about the battle you're still fighting. It's over. It ended. Past tense. I know you don't feel that yet. You're still braced for the next blow, still scanning for the next threat, still holding your breath, waiting for the other shoe to drop. That's because you're like a soldier who never heard the announcement. The war ended, the treaty was signed, the enemy withdrew. But nobody told you yet, until now. While you were holding yourself together in the darkness, in those moments nobody else saw, when you were too exhausted to even cry, when you wondered if you'd ever feel normal again, heaven was watching. And 3 days ago, in the war room you can't see, a decision was made, a file was closed. Your status changed from in battle to cleared for landing. The hardest part of your life? Done. Not almost done. Not about to be done. Done. And you didn't find this message by accident. This is the announcement you never got. I'm here to make sure you hear it. Now, before I show you what just ended and why it ended now, I need you to do something, not for me, for yourself. Subscribe to this channel. That's not just a button. That's you aligning with thousands of awakened souls who've walked through this same portal. Like this message, if your spirit is already confirming what I'm saying, that quickening in your chest, that's recognition. And comment the word done, just that word, done. That's you activating the frequency of completion over your life. Do that now. I'll wait. Good. Now, let me show you what I see that you can't see yet. While you were fighting, something was happening that you couldn't see. And when I show you what it was, everything will suddenly make sense. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment you thought you'd break. All of it. Here's what you need to understand. You weren't fighting alone, you weren't fighting in the dark, and you weren't fighting in the place you thought you were fighting. Let me pull back the veil. Picture this. An arena. Stone, ancient, massive beyond measure. The kind of structure that exists in the realm you can't see, but that's more real than anything you can touch. Torches flicker on walls that stretch up into darkness. The sand beneath is packed hard from centuries of battles, and in the center of this arena, there's you. Your knees shake, but you don't fall. Your arms ache from holding up a shield you can barely lift anymore. Blood and sweat mix on your face. You can't see the edges of this place. You can't see the ceiling. You don't even know if there is a ceiling. All you know is the opponent in front of you, the exhaustion in your bones, and the voice in your head whispering that you can't take another round. This is where you've been, not metaphorically, actually in the invisible realm. While your physical body was going through what it was going through, your spirit was here, in this Colosseum, fighting. And here's what you didn't know. This arena, it wasn't empty. The stands were full, row after row after row of witnesses, beings you couldn't see, souls you didn't know were watching, a cloud of observers so thick the air hummed with their presence. They saw every swing you took, every time you got back up, every moment you chose to keep fighting when quitting would have been easier. But you couldn't see them, you couldn't hear them, because you had to fight by faith, not by sight. Seeing the crowd would have changed the nature of your test. You had to prove you'd fight even when you thought nobody was watching, and you did. The scripture says it like this, in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. Here's what most people miss about that verse. They think cloud of witnesses is just a nice metaphor, poetic language. But the context tells a different story. Right before this verse, in chapter 11, the writer lists dozens of faith heroes: Abel, Enoch, Noah, Abraham, Sarah, Moses, Rahab, David, Samuel, the prophets. Then chapter 12 starts with therefore. Because of all these witnesses who've gone before you, because of this great cloud of those who've already run their race, you are surrounded. Present tense. Right now, not in the past, not someday, now. The Greek word for cloud there, it doesn't mean a fluffy thing in the sky. It means a throng, a dense multitude, a packed stadium. The writer is saying, you're not running alone. You're running in an invisible coliseum with a cloud of witnesses so thick you're literally surrounded by them. That's not metaphor, that's location. You've been fighting in a place you couldn't see, and the entire time you've had an audience. Now I know what you're thinking. If someone was watching, why didn't they help? Why didn't they stop the pain? Why did I have to go through it alone? Because you didn't go through it alone, you went through it, watched. There's a difference. The test was yours to take. The battle was yours to fight. No one could take that from you. But you were never, not for 1 second, unseen. And here's why this matters. Here's why I needed you to understand the arena before anything else. Because what I'm about to tell you in this message, what I'm about to reveal over the next several minutes, is going to reframe your entire journey. You're going to understand why it had to be so hard. You're going to understand why it ended when it ended. You're going to see who was watching and what they saw. You're going to learn how to read your scars like certifications, and you're going to receive a commissioning for what comes next. But you can only receive all of that if you first understand where you were fighting. So lock this image in. The invisible Colosseum. The packed stands, the sand beneath your feet. The opponent you couldn't defeat on your own. And the cloud of witnesses watching every second. That's your context. That's your reality. That's where the hardest part of your life just took place. Now let me answer the question I can feel forming in your mind. Why now? If the hardest part is over, if the battle just ended, if my status just changed from in battle to cleared for landing, why did it happen now? Why not 6 months ago when I first started begging for it to end? Why not a year from now when I might have been stronger? Here's what you need to know about God. He doesn't operate on your timeline or mine. He operates on divine timing. And divine timing isn't about what's convenient. It's about what's exact. Take out your phone. Look at today's date. Look at the day, the month, the year. Hold that date in your mind. That date isn't random. God has been counting down to this exact moment since the day your hardest season began. Not approximately, not roughly, exact. See, every season in the kingdom has a timer. You can't see it, you can't feel it, but it's there. Invisible, absolute, ticking down with mathematical precision. And when that timer hits 0, the season ends. Not because you earned it, not because you figured it out, because the divine countdown reached completion. The hardest part of your life had a timer, and 3 days ago, that timer expired. Not 3 days and 6 hours, not 2 days and 23 hours, 3 days, exact. The same number of days Jesus spent in the tomb, the same number of days Jonah spent in the belly of the fish. 3 is the number of divine completion, resurrection, and new beginning. Your timer hit 0. The system updated, your clearance level changed, and now I'm here, delivering the message you should have gotten the moment it happened. Let me show you how this timing system works throughout Scripture, because once you see the pattern, you'll understand why your season ended precisely when it did. In Genesis chapter 7, verse 4, God tells Noah, "For in 7 days I will send rain on the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and every living thing that I have made I will blot out from the face of the ground. 40 days, not 39, not 41, 40. The exact amount of time needed for complete judgment and complete cleansing. In Exodus 24, verse 18, Moses went up on the mountain, and the cloud covered the mountain. The glory of the Lord dwelt on Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it 6 days. And on the 7th day he called to Moses out of the midst of the cloud." Now the appearance of the glory of the Lord was like a devouring fire on the top of the mountain in the sight of the people of Israel. Moses entered the cloud and went up on the mountain. And Moses was on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. 40 days to receive the law. 40 days to be transformed by the presence of God. 40 days exact. In 1 Kings 19 verse 8, after Elijah wanted to die, after he ran from Jezebel and collapsed under a tree begging God to take his life, an angel came. The angel fed him, and Elijah arose and ate and drank, and went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, the mount of God. 40 days from his lowest point to his next encounter with God. 40 days of journey through wilderness. Precise. In the New Testament, Jesus spent 40 days in the wilderness being tempted. Israel wandered 40 years before entering the promised land. Over and over. You see this pattern. God doesn't do random. He does numbers. 40 for testing and completion, 7 for divine perfection, 3 for resurrection, 12 for government. Each number carries weight, meaning, purpose. Your season had a number. You don't know what it was. Maybe it was 7 months. Maybe it was 3 years. Maybe it was 40 days. But God knew. He set the timer. And when it hit 0, the season ended. Not because you figured out the lesson. Not because you finally prayed the right prayer. Because the timer expired. Divine mathematics doesn't negotiate. Your hardest season is over because the countdown reached completion. That's why it's now. That's why it's final. That's why you can trust it. Now, when I say the hardest part is over, I need to tell you something. You think you know what that means. You think I'm talking about the obvious thing, the situation that was crushing you, the circumstance that was breaking you, the relationship that was destroying you, the crisis that wouldn't end. And yes, that thing, it's over. Past tense. Whatever the external battle was, it ended. The enemy withdrew. The pressure lifted. The crisis resolved. You're on the other side of it. I'm not going to minimize that. That was real. That was hard. That almost killed you. You remember it, don't you? The worst nights. Let your mind go there for just a second. That bedroom at 3 in the morning when you couldn't sleep because your mind wouldn't stop racing. That bathroom floor where you sat with your back against the wall because you couldn't hold yourself up anymore. That car in the parking lot where you gripped the steering wheel and tried to remember why you should go inside. That kitchen table where you sat alone, staring at your phone, wondering if anyone would notice if you just disappeared. You thought, I can't do this anymore. I don't have the strength. I'm not built for this. This is going to break me. And you were right. It was breaking you. Piece by piece, day by day, that situation was dismantling everything you thought you were. You told yourself, if I can just get through this, if I can just survive this season, if I can just make it to the other side, everything will go back to normal. I'll be myself again. I'll feel like me again, right? That's what you thought. Just survive, just endure, just outlast the storm. And you did. You survived. You endured. You outlasted it. The situation that was crushing you, it ended. The crisis passed. The chapter closed. You made it through. You're standing on the other side of something that could have destroyed you, and that's not nothing. That's huge. So yes, when I say the hardest part is over, I'm talking about that. The first death, the circumstantial death, the external battle that nearly took you out. That's finished. You survived it. But here's what you didn't see. Here's what you couldn't have known while you were in the middle of it. While that first death was happening, while you were fighting to survive that external battle, there was a second death occurring, quieter, deeper, more complete. And you didn't even know it was happening because you were too focused on staying alive. The person you were when you entered that season, that version of you died. Not survived, not changed, died. The identity you carried, the person you thought you were, the self you'd spent your whole life building, it didn't make it through. You're not who you were. You can't go back to being that person because that person doesn't exist anymore. This is why you feel so strange right now. This is why victory doesn't feel like victory. You thought, once I get through this, I'll feel relieved. I'll feel free. I'll feel like celebrating. But instead, you feel empty, confused, disoriented. You don't recognize yourself. You don't know who you are anymore. You look in the mirror and see a stranger. You wonder, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just be happy it's over? Why do I feel more lost now than I did during the battle? Everyone expects you to celebrate, but you can't access celebration. You feel guilty because you're not grateful enough. You feel broken because relief doesn't come. Let me tell you what's actually happening. You're not depressed. You're not broken. You're not failing at recovery. You're experiencing resurrection sickness. That's the only way to describe it. The disorientation that comes from dying and coming back different. Your bones ache, not from impact, but from being rebuilt. Your chest feels heavy, not from anxiety, but from a heart that's been restructured. Your eyes blur, not from tears, but from adjusting to see in frequencies you couldn't access before. You didn't just survive the hardest part, you died in it twice, once circumstantially, once internally. And what's emerging now isn't the old you healed, it's a new you, resurrected. And resurrection always comes with sickness at first. Ask anyone who's been clinically dead and brought back. They'll tell you. Coming back is harder than going. The Apostle Paul said it like this in Galatians 2, verse 20. I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live, in the flesh I live, by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. Look at that phrase, I have been crucified with Christ. The Greek word there is sin storou. It means co-crucified, crucified together. This isn't a metaphor Paul is throwing around. He's describing an actual spiritual reality. When Christ died, Paul died with him, not separately, not symbolically. Actually, the old Paul, the persecutor, the murderer of Christians, that man was crucified, he died, and what came back was a new creation. Paul says, it is no longer I who live, the I that used to exist, gone, dead, buried. What lives now is Christ in him, a completely different person wearing the same body. And Paul is speaking from the other side of resurrection. He's telling you what it feels like to die and come back different. That's where you are right now. The old you died in that season. The you that entered the battle didn't survive it. And what's coming out of the tomb is someone new. Someone you don't recognize yet. Someone who carries scars but also carries power you didn't have before. Someone who's been crucified and resurrected. This is why the hardest part is over. Not just because the circumstance ended, but because the death is complete. Both deaths. The external and the internal. The circumstantial and the identity. You've been through the full process. Crucifixion is done. The tomb is open. Now comes the part where you learn to walk in resurrection. Is less than Hashon. 5 is greater than, and those scars you're carrying, the wounds that won't seem to heal, the aches that won't go away. Let me tell you something about them. In the invisible realm, scars don't fade. They don't disappear. They glow. Each one is a seal, a mark, a certification of what you've mastered. Put your attention on your chest for a moment. Not with your hand, just with your awareness. That faint ache that lives there, the one that never quite leaves. Feel it. That's not damage. That's not brokenness. That's a brand. In the realm you can't see, it glows like fire. And if you could read it, you'd see what it says. Let me read it for you. The scar from that night in your bedroom when you couldn't access tears anymore because you'd cried so much your body shut down, you remember that night. The ceiling fans spinning. The clock showing 3:17 a.m. The weight on your chest so heavy you couldn't take a full breath. You thought, I'm not strong enough for this. I can't survive this. I'm going to break. But you didn't break. You bent. You bent so far you thought you'd snap, but you didn't. And that scar, that's your certification in endurance. You're certified now. Master level. In the ability to bear weight that would crush most people. That scar says, this one can carry what others can't. The wound from that moment you sat alone at a table while everyone else was somewhere else. Maybe it was a holiday. Maybe it was a birthday. Maybe it was just a random Tuesday when you realized nobody was coming. Nobody was checking on you. You were fighting the biggest battle of your life, and you were doing it solo. You thought, I'm not worth staying for. If I was important, someone would be here. The silence means I don't matter. But that was a lie. The truth? That isolation was acquired for what you were becoming. You couldn't fight that battle with a crowd. You had to face it alone so you'd know, beyond any doubt, that you can stand when no one else is standing with you. And that scar? That's your certification in self-sufficiency. Not independence. Self-sufficiency. The ability to draw strength from a source that isn't human. That scar says, this one doesn't need a crowd to function. The scar from the betrayal, when trusted hands turned against you, when the person who was supposed to protect you became the weapon. You remember exactly when you realized it. That conversation, that text message, that moment you understood. They weren't confused, they were calculated. This wasn't accident, this was choice. You thought, how could they? After everything, how do I trust anyone again? But here's what that wound earned you. That scar is your certification in discernment. Not suspicion. Discernment. The ability to read spirits before they reveal themselves. To sense danger before it strikes. To know who's safe and who's performing safety. That scar says, this one can see what others miss. Their spiritual antenna is now unshakable. The wound from the silence. Those months, maybe years, When you prayed and heaven seemed to have its voicemail on, you'd cry out and hear nothing back. You'd beg for a sign and get static. You'd ask for direction and receive only more questions. The silence was so heavy, you started wondering if God was even there, or if you'd made him up to cope with loneliness. You thought, God, where are you? Did I do something? Are you punishing me? Have you forgotten me? That scar, that's your certification in faith. Real faith. Not the kind that believes when you see. The kind that believes when you don't see. When you can't hear. When there's no evidence, you learned to walk in the dark. You learned to trust a voice that went silent, because the silence itself was the training. That scar says, this one doesn't need constant reassurance. They've learned to believe without seeing. The scar from loss, what was taken from you, what you had to release, the relationship that died, the dream that collapsed, the version of your future that evaporated. You gripped it so tight your hands bled from holding on, but it left anyway. You thought, I'll never recover from this. Part of me died with that. I'll never be whole again. But that scar is your certification in resurrection power. You now know, in your bones, that nothing stays dead in God's hands. What dies in one season comes back in another, transformed. That scar says, this one knows how to let things die, and they know how to call dead things back to life. The wound from humiliation. When you were brought low in front of witnesses, when your failure was public, when your breakdown was on display, when everyone saw you at your weakest and you couldn't hide it, you thought, I'll never live this down. They'll always see me as broken. My reputation is ruined forever. That scar is your certification in humility, not shame, humility. The kind that can't be shaken because it's already been tested. Pride can't touch you anymore. You've been to the bottom. You've been seen at your lowest. And you survived it. That scar says, this one can't be manipulated by ego. They've already died to image. The scar from isolation, the years of walking alone, of being the only one in your circle who was going through this, of having a testimony nobody understood because nobody else had fought that battle, of feeling like you were the only one, like God made a mistake, like you didn't belong anywhere. You thought, am I the only one? Is something wrong with me? Why is my journey so different? That scar is your certification in pioneering. You're not a follower. You're a trailblazer. You went first, so others behind you would have a path. That isolation wasn't rejection. It was assignment. You had to walk alone because you were cutting a trail through territory nobody had mapped yet. That scar says, this one is a pathfinder. Watch where they walk. Others will follow. You are certified in endurance, self-sufficiency, discernment, faith, resurrection power, humility, and pioneering. Those aren't metaphors. In the invisible realm, those are credentials. Master-level qualifications. You've earned status that can't be faked, bought, or borrowed. And every being in the unseen realm knows it. The Apostle Paul said it in 2 Corinthians 4, verse 17, for this light momentary affliction is preparing for us an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison. Look at that word, weight. In the Greek, it's baros. It means exactly what it sounds like. Heaviness, burden, pressure. The same word used for the weight you carried during your affliction is the same word used for the glory being prepared for you. Paul isn't saying your burden will be exchanged for glory. He's saying your burden will be transformed into glory. Same weight, different substance. The baros of affliction becomes the baros of glory. Your scars don't get replaced with rewards. Your scars are the rewards. transfigured. Every ounce of pain you carried is being converted, 1-to-1, into an equal weight of glory. Same mass, different material. And every single one of these wounds, every certification you just received, someone saw them form. Remember the arena? Remember the invisible Colosseum I showed you? It's time I tell you exactly who's been sitting in those stands. Picture it again, the arena, you in the center, the battle over, your opponent withdrawn, your weapon lowered, and now the lights come on. The stands that you thought were empty, they're packed, row after row after row, rising into the darkness. And now you can see faces. First tier, closest to the arena floor, your ancestors, not just biological ancestors, spiritual ancestors, people from your bloodline who fought battles eerily similar to yours, who faced tests that looked different on the outside but carried the same weight. They're here because they needed to see someone finish what they started. Some of them broke, some of them quit, some of them couldn't make it through, but you did. And they're nodding, tears in their eyes, fierce pride on their faces. They're whispering to each other, just like me, just like what I went through, but this one finished it. Second tier, middle section, angels, the ones assigned to chosen ones, the ones who've watched thousands of journeys just like yours. They don't get surprised easily, they've seen it all, but they're on their feet for you. Because even angels stand in awe when a human chooses faith over sight, endurance over escape, love over bitterness. Every 3 a.m. prayer, every tear you thought was wasted, every time you got back up, nothing was missed. And they're declaring over you, faithful, faithful, faithful. Third tier, upper section, souls scattered across the earth right now who don't know your name, but know your battle. Other chosen ones, still walking, still fighting, still wondering if they'll make it through. And they just watched you cross the finish line of the hardest part. They're not just celebrating you, they're receiving hope. If you can finish, so can they. They're chanting, one of us made it through. One of us made it through. And when your match ended, when that final blow landed, when the timer hit 0 and your status changed, here's what happened. One stood, then another, then a section, then the entire Colosseum erupted. Angels stood, ancestors stood, awakened souls stood. Some weep, some raise fists, some pound their chests. The sound is deafening in the realm you can't see. They're chanting your name, not the name on your birth certificate, your spiritual name. The name written in heaven's books, the name that defines your assignment. And they're not just clapping, they're giving you a standing ovation. In Luke 15, verse 10, Jesus said, "Just so I tell you, there is joy in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents." Most people read that as angels rejoicing. But look closer. Joy in the presence of the angels, not joy from the angels. The angels are witnesses. God is the one rejoicing, and he does it in front of the angels so they can join in. Heaven watches redemption moments like this. The audience is real, the celebration is real, and it's happening over you. Now, I need to tell you something. And if you're feeling strange right now, if this message is making you uncomfortable instead of excited, stay with me, because I know what's happening inside you right now. Part of you wants to believe this. Part of you is desperate to believe it. But another part, a quieter part, is whispering something else. And that whisper sounds like this. This can't be for me. I don't deserve a standing ovation. I barely made it through. I almost quit 17 times. I made so many mistakes. I was angry at God. I doubted. I complained. How is that worthy of celebration? Or maybe it's this. If it's really over, why don't I feel like celebrating? Why do I feel empty instead of free? What's wrong with me? Or this. Other people are still suffering. They're still in their battles. How can I accept relief when they're still in pain? Let me speak to that. Because that discomfort, that guilt, that confusion about why victory doesn't feel like victory, that's not evidence you're broken. That's evidence you're human. You can grieve the warrior you had to be. You can feel strange about the ending of suffering. You can carry both relief and sadness at the same time. That's not weakness. That's wholeness. It's proof of how much you gave. Here's what's actually happening inside you. You're mourning. Not the battle, the identity. The version of you that knew how to function in crisis. The you that was forged in fire. That person was real. That person was necessary. And that person is gone now. You're grieving someone you used to be. And grief doesn't ask permission. It shows up even when you think it shouldn't. You're afraid. Afraid that peace is temporary. Afraid that if you let your guard down, everything will collapse again. Your nervous system has been in survival mode so long, it doesn't know how to interpret safety. So, it reads peace as danger. It whispers, "This is the calm before the storm." Don't trust it. You feel guilty. Guilty for resting when others are still fighting. Guilty for receiving relief when someone you love is still in pain. Guilty for being chosen for breakthrough when you don't understand why it was you and not them. Survivor's guilt is real. And it's heavy. All of this, it's normal. It's holy. The scripture says it in Ecclesiastes 3, verse 4. There's a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. Notice it doesn't say a time for weeping, it says a time to weep, active, present. You're not waiting for the right time, you're in the time, the transition time, the between time. You're between the warrior and the sage, between mourning and dancing. Both exist in you simultaneously right now. The grief over who you were and the hope for who you're becoming. That in-between space is sacred. Don't rush out of it. Stay there as long as you need. Feel what you need to feel. God isn't uncomfortable with your complexity. He made you capable of holding contradictions. But here's what I need to give you, a protocol, because most warriors don't know how to rest. They know how to fight, how to endure, how to survive. But receiving, being still, letting life be easy, that's foreign territory. So they stay in warrior mode even when the war is over. Their body keeps fighting enemies that already left. I'm going to teach you how to transition. 5 steps, not physical actions, mental shifts, internal resets. You can do every one of these lying in bed or driving your car. The first step is the morning declaration. Before you pick up your phone tomorrow morning, before you check anything, I want you to speak something out loud. Just once. Quiet is fine. You don't need to shout. Say this: I am safe to rest. The fight is over. I did enough. Your nervous system needs verbal permission. It's been in survival mode. You have to tell it the war ended. Sound creates frequency. Frequency resets patterns. Do this for 7 mornings. The second step is the mental retreat. When you feel the urge to check, control, fix, or manage something, I want you to imagine yourself taking 1 step backward. Don't actually step. Just imagine it in your mind. See yourself stepping back from the situation. Then, take one deep breath through your nose and release it through your mouth. The mental image interrupts the pattern. The breath seals the interruption. You're training your body to withdraw from fight response. The third step is the receiving posture. 3 times a day, I want you to visualize yourself standing with your arms open and your palms facing up. See it clearly in your mind. Hold that mental image for 30 seconds. Your body has been closed for so long. Fists clenched, arms crossed, shoulders hunched. The mental picture of openness begins to retrain your nervous system for reception instead of defense. You're not asking for anything. You're just positioning yourself to receive what's already being given. The 4th step is the gratitude scan. Before you sleep each night, count 5 things in your mind that went right today. Not what you're grateful for in general. What went right specifically today? No qualifiers, no buts, just facts. I woke up. I ate food. I heard a bird. I didn't quit. I'm still here. Your brain is trained to scan for threats. You have to actively retrain it to notice blessings. This isn't toxic positivity. This is survival pattern interruption. The 5th step is the permission statement. When guilt about resting comes, and it will come, I want you to speak this sentence in your mind or out loud. Resting is not betrayal. This is divine strategy. Repeat it until the guilt loses its grip. Guilt is the enemy's last weapon after you've won the battle. Counter it with truth spoken in your own voice. These 5 steps are not suggestions. This is a protocol, a system, the Warrior's Rest Protocol. Follow it exactly as I've given it. Your transition from fight mode to rest mode depends on it. Jesus said it in Matthew 11, verses 28 and 29. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. That word rest in the Greek is anaposis. It doesn't mean comfort rest. It doesn't mean take a nap rest. It means cessation rest. It's a military term. Stand down. End of watch. Mission complete. Jesus isn't offering you a break. He's offering you permission to cease operations, not pause. Cease. The warfare assignment you were on. It's been officially closed. You have divine clearance to stand down. Now, I need to warn you about something. The enemy knows you've entered rest mode, and he has a plan for warriors who lay down their weapons. There are 5 attacks that only come after victory. Most warriors don't know to watch for them. Most casualties happen in this phase because they assume they're safe. You're about to be the exception. I'm going to show you what's coming so you can recognize it the moment it arrives. The first attack is dread during peace. It happens like this. You're sitting somewhere calm, maybe in your car after work, maybe on your couch at night, maybe in bed before sleep. You're not in crisis. Nothing is wrong in that moment. And then, out of nowhere, dread floods your body. Your stomach drops, your chest tightens, and a voice whispers, "This won't last. Something bad is coming. You know it won't last." That's not intuition. That's not the Holy Spirit. That's an attack. The enemy wants you to reject peace because peace terrifies him. Warriors in rest become dangerous. So he tries to make you afraid of the very thing you just earned. Here's how you counter it. When that dread comes, name it out loud or in your mind. Say, "This is a post-victory attack. My peace is sealed. It cannot be taken." Then, speak 3 facts about your current reality. I am breathing. I am safe right now. The hardest part is over. Facts dismantle lies. The second attack is comparison poison. It shows up when you're scrolling. You see someone else's victory, someone else's breakthrough, someone else's blessing, and immediately a thought drops into your mind. Their breakthrough is bigger. Yours doesn't count. You're still behind. You're still less than. You watch their highlight reel, and suddenly your finish line feels small, insignificant, unworthy of celebration. That voice is not yours, and it's definitely not God's. Here's the counter. Speak your specific certification out loud or in your mind. My battle earned me discernment. That's mine. Their journey earned them something else. That's theirs. Our assignments are not comparable. Comparison is a trap. Refuse to enter it. The third attack is the phantom threat. You're doing something relaxing. Maybe you're in the shower. Maybe you're cooking. Maybe you're driving. Your mind is quiet for once. And then a fear from your past resurfaces with new urgency. What if that thing happens again? What if you're not ready? What if the next crisis is worse? Here's how you fight that phantom threat. Speak this distinction out loud or in your mind. That was then. I am not who I was. That season is sealed. The person who went through that battle doesn't exist anymore. The resurrected version of me has defenses the old version didn't have. Separate past from present. Make the distinction verbal. Lies dissolve when you force them into language. The fourth attack is unworthiness. Something good happens, a blessing arrives, an opportunity appears, a door opens, and the instant it happens, a thought drops. You don't deserve this. You're going to lose it. You're a fraud. This is too good for someone like you. The blessing becomes a burden because you're convinced you're not qualified to hold it. Counter it like this. Read your scars. Literally speak them in your mind or out loud. I earned endurance. I earned discernment. I earned faith. I earned resurrection power. My certifications say I am qualified. This blessing matches my clearance level. I'm not taking what I didn't earn. I'm receiving what I already paid for. The fifth attack is the most dangerous because it feels like wisdom. After a few days of rest, you'll feel restless, uncomfortable, like you're getting soft. And a voice will say, you should be doing more. Resting is laziness. You're wasting time. Warriors don't sit still. Get back to work. That's not conviction. That's sabotage. Here's the counter. Speak the protocol I gave you. Resting is not betrayal. This is divine strategy. I am exactly where I should be. Resting warriors become more dangerous, not less. I'm not getting weaker. I'm recharging for the greater assignment. Expect all 5 attacks within the next 7 to 14 days. They won't come all at once. They'll come in waves. Each one you recognize and counter weakens the next. By day 30, you'll barely notice them. They'll have no power left. The Apostle Peter warned about this exact season. 1 Peter 5, verse 8. Be sober-minded. Be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Here's what most people miss. Peter wrote this to churches who'd already won their initial battles. This isn't a warning before the struggle. It's a warning after. The word prowls means patient stalking, not frontal assault. The lion doesn't attack the strong ones in the center of the pack. He circles, he waits, he targets the tired ones who separate. Post-victory is the highest danger time for ambush, not the safest. Peter knew this. Now you know it too. And here's how I know all of this. Because it's been done before, this exact pattern, The victory, the rest, the attacks, the proving period, the greater assignment. You're not the first to walk this path. Let me show you the witnesses. In 1 Kings chapter 18, Elijah just had the biggest public victory of his life, Mount Carmel. He called down fire from heaven in front of the entire nation. 450 prophets of Baal defeated. Massive, undeniable, nation-shaking victory. And immediately after, 1 Kings 19, exhaustion, depression, a death wish. Elijah tells God, "Take my life, I've had enough. I'm no better than my ancestors." That's not failure. That's what happens after maximum output. An angel had to come feed him, make him sleep. Twice. That's the rest phase. Then came the attacks. Jezebel's threat. Fear. Isolation. Elijah felt like the only one left. That's survivor's guilt. The proving period was 40 days. 40 days walking to Horeb. 40 days of God asking, "What are you doing here?" Testing his heart, testing his motives. And after he passed, the greater assignment: anoint kings, anoint your successor. Pass on a double anointing to Elijah, and Elijah never tasted death. He was taken up in a chariot of fire. That's the pattern. David, 1 Samuel 17. He kills Goliath. Teenage shepherd defeats a giant warrior in front of 2 armies. Instant national celebrity. And what came immediately after? 1 Samuel 18 and 19. Saul's jealousy. Spears thrown at his head. Betrayal. He had to run. He had to hide in caves. He spent years in the wilderness, being hunted by the very king he served. That was his proving period. But during those years, he built his mighty men. He learned to lead. He was tested on his character over and over. He spared Saul's life twice when he could have killed him. And after he passed the proving, he became king, not just of Judah, of all Israel. A man after God's own heart. Lineage of the Messiah. That's the pattern. See it. Victory. Rest. Attack. Proving. Period. Greater assignment. You just finished the victory phase. You're in rest phase right now. Attacks are coming. I've warned you. Then comes your proving period. And after you pass that, a greater assignment than you can currently imagine. Now, let me tell you what's coming for you specifically. Think of a number between 30 and 90. Whatever number just popped into your mind, hold it. That's your personal marker. Now, listen. Within 30 days, you're going to see the first tangible sign of the shift. Not internal. External. A door you didn't open yourself will swing wide. Someone from your past will resurface with an apology or an acknowledgement. An opportunity will appear that matches your new certifications. Something will happen that you can point to and say, "That wasn't me. That was God." Within 60 days, a resource you've been lacking will appear. Not through your effort, through divine orchestration. Money, time, energy, connection, information. Whatever you've been missing will show up. And you'll receive confirmation from 3 separate sources about your next assignment. 3 different people, 3 different conversations, all pointing to the same thing. Pay attention. Within 90 days, your greater assignment will be named, not hinted at. Named. You won't have to search for it. It will find you. And when it does, you'll recognize it immediately, because it will require exactly the certifications you just earned. Everything you went through was preparation for this. The endurance, the discernment, the faith, the resurrection power, the humility, the pioneering, all of it. Your assignment was custom designed to match your scars. Now I'm going to seal all of this with you. What comes next is not just a prayer, it's a commissioning ceremony. If you're able, I want you to sit up or stand. If you're driving or you can't, that's fine. Stay where you are. But shift your awareness. What I'm about to speak over you has authority from the highest realm. Father, I stand as a messenger between realms. I speak not from myself, but as a voice carrying your word to this chosen one who has completed the hardest part of their journey. Heaven has sent me to this moment. The invisible Colosseum has gone silent. The match is over. The timer has expired. Now comes the sealing. Now comes the commissioning. Let every word I speak land with divine authority. Let every declaration I make be enforced by angelic hosts. In Jesus' name. I acknowledge the night you sat in darkness and couldn't breathe. I honor the moment you wanted to quit but dragged yourself forward one more day. I see the tears nobody else saw, the prayers nobody heard, the breaking points where you held yourself together with sheer will. I acknowledge the loneliness of fighting a battle nobody could see. I honor the death of who you were, both the death of your circumstances and the death of your old self. I witness your resurrection, sickness, your confusion, your strange grief over the end of suffering. You have been seen. Heaven has been watching. I am here to tell you, you fought well, you died well, you rose well. And now I seal what has been revealed. I seal the revelation of the invisible Colosseum, that you fought in an arena watched by witnesses in realms you couldn't see. I seal the understanding of the divine timer, that your hardest season had a precise countdown, and that countdown has reached 0. I seal the truth of the 2 deaths you died, both the circumstantial death and the ego death, and the resurrection power that brought you through both. I seal the reading of your scars as certifications. Each wound translated into mastery. Each cut transformed into qualification. You are certified in endurance, in self-sufficiency, in discernment, in faith, in resurrection power, in humility, in pioneering. These are not metaphors, these are credentials. I seal the standing ovation from the audience you couldn't see. From ancestors, from angels, from awakened souls who witnessed your fight and rose to their feet. I seal the warrior's rest protocol. Your permission to lay down weapons, to breathe, to receive. Rest is not betrayal. It is divine strategy. I seal protection over your rest. I bind the 5 post-victory attacks, the dread during peace, the comparison poison, the phantom threat, the unworthiness spiral, the restlessness trap. They have no authority. They are recognized and rendered powerless. I seal the proving period ahead. May you pass with the same faithfulness you showed in battle. And now I declare, not hope, not wish, declare. Within 30 days, you will see the first tangible sign of shift. A door you didn't open will swing wide. An acknowledgement you stopped expecting will arrive. Within 60 days, you will receive a resource you've been lacking, not through your striving, but through divine orchestration and confirmation from 3 sources about your next assignment. Within 90 days, your greater assignment will be named. It will find you. And when it does, you will recognize it because it requires exactly the certifications you just earned in your hardest season. I declare divine favor over your rest. I declare supernatural protection over your peace. I declare that what was lost in battle will be restored double. I declare that those who watched you struggle will witness your vindication. I declare that the invisible Colosseum audience remains seated, watching you step into what's next. This is your time, your season, your harvest. And now I ask you, do you receive this commission? Do you accept that the hardest part is done? Do you agree to walk in rest, in authority, in the certifications you've earned? If yes, say it. Out loud if you can. In your mind if you can't, say yes. I heard your yes. Heaven heard your yes. It is sealed. You are commissioned. The Colosseum gates open, not to let you back in, but to let you out. Walk out of this arena with your head high. The sand beneath your feet is no longer stained with your blood. It's consecrated by it. The scars on your body glow like medals. The audience behind you still chants your name. The match is over. The commission is given. Go.